asked our parents, why are we leaving Ghana? The response was, oh, so you girls could get better education, better quality of life. And that in itself, education, they felt and they feel.
Welcome to the Let's Talk Education Africa podcast. Today's another day, and the guest I have on is no, stranger to the podcast. It's really exciting to have her here share a story about, herself, her organization, and the amazing things that they're doing. I think one of the things that's really exciting to me is finding out different stakeholders in the education space, especially in Ghana, who are, putting their arms to the wheel and then making sure they are making impact one child at a time. It's really amazing to see. And I can't wait. I genuinely cannot wait to have this really interesting conversation with Elizabeth Nyako Patterson, who is the founder and board chair of the Girls Education Initiative Ghana. They've been really doing some amazing work, and celebrates them today. They are 10 years, and as you listen to this, please, I hope when you hear this at any given point in time, you should just clap for her in the quiet of your home, office, car, wherever you're listening to this. Please lend a really warm hand to the amazing work Elizabeth and her team are doing with the Girls Education Initiative in Ghana. So in terms of a brief background, they've been doing some really exciting work. They were established in 2014, and they can count over 20,000 children who have been beneficiaries of their programs over the years. Their guiding principles, which stood out to me a lot, are the principles of learning, leadership, and service. Those are, when we look at least the terrain in my country today, in Ghana, I believe that these are key pillars that, if put together really well, they are going to become the necessary ingredients we need to transform our nation. And then extending it to the African continent, these pillars are incredibly important to the transformation of the continent. And I'm happy to know that the Girls Education Initiative Ghana has these pillars at their forefront. My country, for example, has been crying. We are crying for empathetic leaders who are going to come in and, make a difference in the lives of its people. Elizabeth, before I jump in, one of my favorite people is Martin Luther King. There are 3 quotes, that I want to share with you and my listeners before we jump in. And these quotes, based on the little I know about you and your organization, I believe just fits perfectly for the conversation we are going to have. And one of which is Martin Luther King says, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? That stood out to me when this conversation was put on my desk. And number 2, Martin Luther King says again that a genuine leader is not a searcher of consensus, but a molder of consensus. And all of these 2 quotes in particular, they just fit the sort of person and the organization that you run. And the last one is, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, the first step. With a slight smile on your face, because I'm sure the quotes from the venerable Martin Luther King is spot on as to the sort of person you are. By virtue of the fact that I'm co-host, I listened to the podcast that you had with my fellow co-host Anna, I believe last year, and where you spoke about girls' education and girls' empowerment, and your story was particularly moving. From the fact that you got into an unfortunate car accident that put you in a coma. Thanks be to God, you survived that, went to school, then there was the States, then you ended up with, doing some research in South Africa, all the way to, coming back, forming this organization and making the impact that you're making. Your story is truly fantastic. It's truly heartwarming. It's truly inspiring. I am really excited to have you on today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kwame.
For me personally, it's an honor. It's an honor to have you here. The world is crying out for people like you. People who take that first step, people who fight for the marginalized, people who, especially because of the way education is going on in our country and in the continent, people who want to add, their quota to making a difference and impact. And so, well and truly, I want to properly congratulate you and your organization, the Girls Education Initiative Ghana, for 10 years. Dipping my toes in the education space for under, let's say, 3-4 years, I am realizing that one of the key ingredients, or two of the key ingredients, is passion and commitment. If you do not have those, your lungs will tire at a point, and you will most likely give up. And so for your organization, yourself and your organization, to be able to do 10 years is incredibly amazing. I want you to know that. And, on behalf of the team, as Let's Talk Education Africa podcast and myself, we want to give you a big shout and tell you how proud we are of you and the impact that you've made so far. We pray the next 10 years is going to get better and better. And you're going to have more impact on all of the lives that you're going to touch.
Amen.
I welcome you.
Thank you. It's a secular space. And I just felt like you were preaching, and I needed to say amen. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you too. Thank you for joining this episode of the Let's Talk Education Africa podcast. We have also started small, and just reaching out to people in the space is incredibly heartwarming to have people like you in the space who are making a big difference with the organizations that you've put together and are rolling out. And so congratulations are in proper order. So let's get in. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks to Let's Talk Education Africa podcast for having me last year, and then when we reached out again for this year, and to celebrate our 10th anniversary. Thanks so much to you all, the team, Senyo, Anna, you, everybody, for willingly coming on board as partners of ours for this 10th anniversary. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Let's give you your flowers now. Whilst you're creating magic in the space, you deserve all the flowers. Thank you for, the work that you're putting in, because I know it's not easy. I definitely know it's not easy. So to stay on 10 years, that's testament to your resilience, to your passion, to the commitments that you have to the cause. And so I'm happy to have you here. Let me ask you this. How does 10 years feel? How do you feel? The girls, the Girls Education Initiative of Ghana. How does it feel to be 10 years?
In a nutshell, I would say it's been a labor of love. It's been a labor of love. Prior to me having my own kids, I used to refer to GEIG as my first baby. And if it was a human child at this point, they'd be walking, talking back, doing all kinds of things. And it's been good to see the development over the 10 years. And I think for me as the founder, who's so deep within, and a lot of times, I don't really take the step back to see how things have gone over the 10 years. It's been a journey. It's been quite a journey, and rightfully so. We coined our sub-theme, A Decade of Impact. The main theme is Sankofa, dedicated to the fact that we're always learning and relearning the terrain and adjusting to the changing education landscape. But it's been, like I said, been a labor of love to commit to something for 10 years. A lot of Hollywood marriages don't even last 10 years. So it's been good for us to commit to something this long.
You're absolutely spot on. And like I said earlier in my my submission, that just dipping my toes in the space. If you do not have that commitment, if you do not have that passion, if you do not have that resilience, you're going to tire out and you most likely give up, so you're definitely doing something right. That's why you're still in existence at 10 years. And the point is, just speaking to you now, you can just sense the zeal to go another 10 years, and exciting to have you in the space. So it's good. It's good. I'm happy you shared how that feels. I like the expression you used, that it's been a labor of love. I mean, all of the the emotions to birth an idea and grow it for 10 years. Ooh.
Yes.
Yes, that definitely captures it beautifully. I want to unpack a few things for our listeners who probably didn't catch the last podcast. I want you to unpack the Girls Education Initiative Ghana. Tell us how it began, where the name came from, your mission, all of that.
Okay, so GEIG was founded rightfully, as you keep mentioning, 10 years ago. We had our official 10-year anniversary on January 9th of this year. It was founded 10 years ago. Our mission is to provide academic and financial support for girls, including applicants with special needs or disabilities, so they can access higher education and professional opportunities. Our vision mainly is to contribute to Ghana's and Africa's development and reduce poverty with our programming. Where did the idea of GIG come from? Education has always been the most constant thing in my life. When I was younger, my parents always insisted that we should get education to the highest level possible. I'm one of two girls of my parents' children, so it was very important for them to really make sure that both of us get as much education as possible. My family, I was born in Ghana, but my family left Ghana when I was 10 years old. Mainly, it was under different circumstances. My mom won the visa lottery, but as an 8-year-old, we really didn't understand what that means. So when we asked our parents, why are we leaving Ghana? The response was, oh, so you girls could get better education, better quality of life. And that in itself, education, they felt and they feel, will invariably lead to a better quality of life if you do all the right things, right? So we left Ghana and went to the US, where I grew up, and unfortunately in 2003 got into a life-altering car accident. But I'm still sitting here talking to you, and decided, while I was battling for my life in the coma in the hospital, I yearned to go back to school and graduate. So I was able to get tutoring for my third and final years of high school, and from the hospital bed straight to the graduation stage, I finished high school. And because of this whole, my parents always drumming in us education, I decided to start undergrad classes while still going through rehab. And I was going as a part-time student for a while, and then eventually I started going to school as a full-time student, and I was able to finish college and then go on to do my master's. And as a master's student, I spent some time, as you mentioned in the intro, in South Africa, doing comparative research on how students, kids, people with disabilities or different abilities, different needs, are able to access education in Ghana, and comparing that to South Africa. And I'm sure we all know that on paper, there's a lot of policies, a lot of documentation that's given people like me, people with special needs, disabilities, all these freedoms and rights and accesses, right? And one of them is education. But in reality, when you want to go to a real, like, I have not witnessed a mainstream classroom here in Ghana. I tried to see a sampling of that, yet to see a real mainstream classroom where students who are not special education or differently abled are within the same environment as other students who are without any special needs. That's the essence of mainstreaming for me. And so, inspired by this, like the lack of access that people like me, I always say, like, had my accident happened in Ghana, not to knock Ghana or anything, but had my accident happened in Ghana, I probably would not be sitting here talking to you. I probably most likely would not have finished high school, college, let alone get a master's. So I was inspired by my research and my lived experience and the experiences of others who I interacted with. So I wanted to see an environment, an education system where girls like me can be represented. And it sounds like it sounds narcissist, but it's not at all. I'm a public servant at heart, and I wanted to see others who are like me also be able to achieve the highest levels for their educational lives, for their professional lives, for their livelihoods. And that was that led to the founding of GEIG.
Like I said, I had the opportunity to listen to the conversation you had with Anna last year. And I mean, you touched on all of the bits, and it's a pretty amazing story. You know how they say every dark cloud has a silver lining? That's just you right now with the story you're narrating. How that's rather unfortunate accident put you in a space where you were fighting for your life. Now you've come back and you are fighting for others. That's what the world should be, and you've been doing that for this long, and really is testament to the passion, commitment, and the zeal and the love really that you have for others. Interesting, really, really interesting stuff. So it's been 10 years of impacting lives. Could you tell us how many students have graduated from second?
So we have because of the lack of resources, financial, human capacity, everything. We used to recruit every 3 years. That was to give us enough time and space and energy to be able to mobilize ourselves to support additional students. So we used to recruit when students were jumping from class 6 to JHS. And then when the JHS students were going to SHS, we would do a recruitment of another batch. Because of that nature of recruitment, we have 2 cohorts of students who we've supported from class 6 all the way through to university right now. Our second cohort, 16 of them just finished their WASI, and a lot of them have heard of their placements, and a number of them are about to hear, and they're hoping to embark on their tertiary education I want to say this fall, but there are no 4 seasons in Ghana, this coming academic year in September. So we have those girls, and then in light of the free SHS policy, we thought between ourselves as a team and wanted to do something, because we realized that there's an emphasis on quantity over quality. And there were a lot of students reaching out to us, well, I finished SHS, but I'm not able to complete. And so in light of that, about a year ago, we initiated our tertiary scholars program. And that has also supported about 13 young women who are already in tertiary institutions or had finished SHS and were about to enter. And the only barrier to entry was the financial assistance for them to continue. So approximately 65 students that we've supported with financial aid so they could go to and remain in school over the years. And then we've also given support to a number of students who have come through us through other programs and just in tangent to our normal recruitment. But GIG also has a leadership development and a mentoring program, which we do a quarterly mentorship, leadership development workshops, and that reaches about 3,000 students or people annually. And then our master classes, our professional development master classes, also reaches many, many, many more people. Hence the 20,000 plus that we quoted for you earlier.
Wow. You're speaking, two things came to mind. So this question has two legs. How do you fund all of these things you're doing? One. Two, number two is, with my little understanding of the space in terms, i.e. collaborating with, key stakeholders in maybe different communities, etc. How could you touch on how you go about that? The community leaders and, break that down for me. So you go into the space. How do you, get the community leaders and even the families to get on board to, sort of to get that collaboration machine working? Yeah.
So the funding, in the 10 years, we can speak of 2 grants that we've been awarded over the span of 10 years. And that's not sustainable. So we reach out to ourselves, family and friends, people to give however much they can, because it doesn't take that much to really see one girl through school per term. It really doesn't take that much. But the population that GEIG supports are very, very much vulnerable, very, very much underserved, and the families don't really have the financial means to really get the girls through to university. So we subsidize. When we used to support them through JHS, we were paying for everything, because at JHS level, there's not much. But then as they're getting to the SHS, because of our restricted amount of resources, we subsidize. We do a 60-40 with the families. But I would say about 80% of the time, we end up having to extend ourselves way more than that 60-40 ratio that we've set out for the families. Even with this free SHS, it's not a political statement that I'm about to make at all. Even with the free SHS thing, our students are still having to pay for feeding, for accommodation. A lot, like, how do you go to school without a bed to sleep on? Some of our students have told us that they were sleeping in the bathrooms of their campuses. So how does that make sense? Right? So we step in, and then we provide them with hostel facilities. And then while they're there, there's a number of students that every month we're giving something for their provision, because maybe their families are underemployed or unemployed, so they cannot even afford for them to get their monthly provisions, so they could, nourish their minds and be able to be in school. So that's the funding question. And the other question was about collaboration and partnerships. I know for 200% that GEIG would not be where we are if it wasn't for our local and international partners. We are very much embracing of partnerships and collaboration. So partners like Reach for Change, which identified us for our literacy program about a year and a half ago to help us scale it within underserved communities, are key to our success. EdSnaps, which is a STEM-based organization in the US, which we've been collaborating with for, I think, close to 2 years, has been really, really a critical partner of ours. iSpace Foundation, the team at iSpace, I always want to shout out Josiah and iSpace for always the willingness to come on board and support us with anything and everything that we need of them. And many, many others that we've encountered and always embracing. But you asked about, I think you also asked about how we get the families and the schools to always also come on board with us. Just basically, it's like an informational session that we do with the schools when we're doing our recruitment. We go in, myself or a team member or a number of us will go present our case, present ourselves to the school, And then once they hear about what we do, they're on board. And then automatically, if you agree to bring us a number of students from your school, we have you sign a partnership letter to be a partner school of ours. And then when we're doing our workshops and other activities, they are always more than willing to let us use their spaces, open their doors to us, have their teachers and staff even serve as volunteers for our weekend sessions and mentoring programming. So it's all hand in hand. This work is not easy, and we would not be where we are if we were working in silos. Nothing we would be doing would be at the level that it is if myself or the team decided that we don't need any partners, we don't need any support. There's a tree saying or something, and I'm not going to butcher the tree and try to say it, but I think it's like when you're climbing up, like somebody's getting up, you have to push the others up with you, like up on the tree with you. I know the saying in my mind, but I'm not going to try to bring it out and butcher it for your audience. So we all climb up this arduous ladder together. Like if each of us, sometimes I think to myself, there's so many education organizations, girls' education organizations. If all of us decided to join forces and collaborate, and a lot of us do similar programming and activities, if we all decided that we would form like a consortium or something and collaborate and do all our things together, I think the greater good will be appreciated and felt and achieved. Because the end goal is to do the same thing. And sometimes it's like disheartening for me that we all cannot get together and decide that our vision is very much aligned. So let's work on it together.
I mean, this is just testament to the power of collaboration. And as you were speaking about that, from at least the donors, sponsors side, and the partners that you have, including the connections that you have with the community leaders and families, etc. The Bible Sunday school teacher just came to mind, and there's this story about the Tower of Babel, right? And they spoke about how the people were of one mind, and how they decided they were going to build a tower all the way up to the heavens. And I don't know why that popped in my mind, but then it just goes to show that when two groups of people, two groups of organizations, or even more come together, their visions are aligned, and they just gather under that umbrella to say they are going to make a certain particular change. Most often than not, that change happens. So, I mean, the story what you just narrated is just testament to that. And to the listeners, the stakeholders listening, to the individuals listening, to even the entrepreneurs listening in the space, this is just a sound reminder that there is power in collaboration, and all we just need is to find out the key foundational points as to whether our values are aligned, whether the vision is aligned, etc. And you'd be amazed about the impact and the change that you could make. Incredible story. My entrepreneurial side is just screaming at me to ask you this question. Was there any point in time where you felt like giving up?
I would say I was almost compelled to say every day I feel like giving up, but it's not every day. There are moments when you feel the team, everybody feels like they're not really being appreciated by the people that we're serving, and recount the sacrifices that I've personally had to make in order for this organization to be where it is. I don't think we don't have enough time, but there are days when it feels like the people who we're supposedly serving, they are kind of they don't appreciate the work that we do, and the thing is, I mentioned earlier, I'm a public servant at heart, and service is core to who I am, core to, I think, my DNA. And if I looked at getting awards or getting a thank you from somebody, Kwame, I don't think I would have kept going. There's been a number of times when I wanted to give up, but I look at it's not thinking back to myself, but then I think back sometimes to myself when I was in the hospital, like in a coma, and being told that there was not a single day that we didn't have a busload of people coming from my school to visit at the hospital. And that's what pulled me through. The fact that like a whole community, a whole school, families, people, I think I went to a boarding school in the US. There were families from as far as Asia reaching out to my parents to wish them well. And like my mom will always say, there have been people who would call and pray with her during those months. To date, I'm still in touch with some of these people. And like when they hear that I'm in this place and I'm doing, I don't want to say this well, I'm doing well in spite of everything. All they usually say is like, we thank God, like we thank God for pulling you out. And those are the things that keep me going. I believe that's what keeps me going. Like I've had to sacrifice my own leaving. I remember my son was maybe 2 months and I did not want to at all, but I had to leave him and go on a campus tour with one of my students for the very first time. That's the first time I left my son. And after everything, to hear that this student that I did such a thing for is not showing like gratitude, or I'm sure deep within herself, she sits and she realizes that her life's trajectory would not have been where it is now if it wasn't for the organization's intervention. But when I think back to like, that's a major sacrifice for anyone to make. And I did that. And like, we call upon you and sometimes like, you're not even forthcoming. It's painful, but it's like, I remember the people who did for me when I was down and out. And I realized that if I don't extend myself to others in the same way that they did for me, maybe there's somebody there who would be touched enough to want to continue with their education and their lives. Yeah, long story short.
They're speaking, and to an extent, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And MLK, Martin Luther King, just sums a part of what you said rather beautifully when he says, I submit to you that if a man hasn't discovered something he will die for, he isn't fit to live. And as you were speaking, clearly, what you
have to send me all these quotes.
Definitely. It's what you do is definitely from a deep place, you know, and the fact that you're willing to make certain sacrifices that other people will go, whoa, no, you don't need to do that, blah blah blah. But then you know, you dug deep, deep and took those decisions, and you know, just for the cause, you know, and you know, I specifically asked this question because entrepreneurship, for much of a better descriptor, is wild. It pulls you in so many directions, and especially for education, for getting into the education space, wanting to make a difference. It can get really, 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 really trying. I think that's the best way to describe it. It can get really trying and really heartwarming, really, Elizabeth. It's really heartwarming. I think this adds to the beautiful story of the journey of your organization and how it's gotten to 10 years. Your impact will be felt, you know, for generations to come.
Thank you.
And I think one of the things I want to say to, you know, stakeholders, entrepreneurs who are listening, and to our listeners in general, is sometimes those purpose, passion-driven projects that we embark on are, in the beginning, nobody pays heed, right? Nobody will be applauding you and say, you go, you know, you go girl, or you go boy, or, you know, supporting you in any way. And the thing is, they don't have to. They don't have to. You choose this path, and you have to exhibit to yourself first, and to everybody else that, you know, it's from a deep place. And so whether they clap for you in the beginning, whether they decide not to clap for you, you're still going to go through with it. And your story is testament to that. It's incredibly inspirational. You have inspired me today. You've given me a dose of inspiration today to continue moving whatever project it is that I'm working on. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think that's one of the bits that I think as I get older, I begin to appreciate that. I think that human beings tend to underestimate the impact that we have on each other. And so
Of course.
the story that you've just shared, you don't know what's, for me, for example, stand for me because of where I am in my journey. Any other listener who might be listening to this, and how that can ginger them on, how that can, if you play video games, that power button or power bank that's, the person can fetch from, to keep on going. It's please, by all means, at any point in time where you get to share that story, please share it the way you shared it with me and my listeners, because you never know how far reaching it gets. We're going to go to a short break, and we'll come back to continue this conversation. Awesome. And we are back from our short break. I'm sure you are really enjoying the conversation that you are having about how one woman can just bet an idea to impact other people's lives. And, that can go on for 10 years, despite all the challenges, despite all the difficulties, etc., that she might have experienced along the journey. And like I was saying before we went for the break, it's truly inspirational. It's truly heartwarming to hear these sorts of stories, to let us know that we are not alone, one, and that people are going through it with ideas that they've birthed, and they're still marching, despite the arrows and the difficulties that they face as they move along. So, Elizabeth, I want to ask, do you operate the organization alone, or you have a team? And if you do with the team, please, I want you to name names and give them big shout outs for the amazing work and supporting the organization.
If I was doing this alone, I would probably be dead or near dead, because it's quite a lot. But that's just a preface and say that I don't do this alone. I try to keep a very small team, because I think I would rather people, I think quality over quantity for me. So some members of our team, just in no particular order, Andrews Latte has been with us for about 9.5 years. We started out with people, our core team that we started out with, I need to shout them out. Amos Kachepo, Eric Osetutu Yeboah, Adwa Jemfua, all these people were here with me, or they saw me through the early days. And now we have a vibrant team of people like Francisca, Esther, just Ernest, all these guys. I'm the face of the organization and the voice, but they are the one who stand beside me to make sure that the work keeps going. And the people who I mentioned earlier are founding team members, even to date. Reach out. We are still in touch. And when you come to the conference and the gala on March 22nd, they will be there. A number of them will be there. I believe Eric will be bringing students from the Ashanti region. Amos will be there, likely trying to pull some students from Accra to come along. They'll be there. And that, I think that's just a testament to how committed some of these people have been to the organization. Eric was doing his national service with KNUST, and then used to come to my mom's place of work, and my mom spoke to him about me and the fact that her daughter had come to Ghana. She doesn't really know anyone, so can you also support? Whenever he finished his service, it was like he was doing two jobs. He would just come over to the office, and he was so serviceable. When I first came, I was like very hungry to make sure this thing works. I would call him 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Eric would be responding. I'm sorry for that, Eric. I apologize in the past, but he would respond. And like, to see commitments from people to this extent, and just even after 10 years, every so often checking in, how are the girls doing? How are things going? It's amazing. And it's I'm, like I said, I'm the face and the voice for the organization, but there's been people standing beside me to make sure that this my first child is now walking and is about to enter junior high school. If I had a child 10 years ago, yeah.
I mean, big shout outs to Eric, Amos, and the rest of the team. You guys have done really amazing. It takes a village really to to make things happen, and I mean it's in proper order too. That you've highlighted these names who have supported you from the get-go, all through to those who have joined in between, etc. Your input, your commitment, your passion to making this dream, this initiative stand, and for it to be able to make the impact that it's making is well and truly appreciated. And so on our behalf here as well, we want to thank the team that has been very supportive of Elizabeth and the amazing things that you're doing at the Girls Education Initiative Ghana. That's really incredible. I think it goes without saying that people, some people have ideas, jump on it, just make that. And yeah, just like that, your name mentioned in all across. So Eric, Amos, and the rest of the team. Now your names are all over. We are listened to about 75 countries.
I'll send them the link when we go on live.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much, and God bless you for the inputs that you've made over the years. Thank you so much. So I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday or today is International Women's Day. I think it was yesterday. It was today. My bad.
Today.
My bad. It's today. Well, yes, I guess happy International Women's Day to you. And I believe the theme for today is the theme for the celebration is inspire inclusion, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to on the theme and how it aligns with the goal of Girls Education Initiative Ghana.
Okay. So one is you've been pulling out quotes from everywhere, but as you've been doing that, I just Googled one of my favorite quotes, and it's from the book To Kill a Mockingbird. And I believe that this really aligns with the theme of the IWD today. It says, you never really understand a person until you consider things from their point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. I read this book when I was in high school, and that quote has stuck with me for years. To stick around, it goes on to say to walk around in another person's shoes and really, really feel and appreciate what their life is like, right? So inspire inclusion. I believe that quote really aligns with what inspire inclusion. Inclusion is about us wanting to include everyone. And at GEIG, we are advocates and proponents of inclusive education. We want to make sure that all girls, in spite of their ability, disability, special need, different need, whatever it is, financial situation, is able to be included in the development, the positive development of Ghana and the continent. Yeah, no long talk.
Awesome. You summarized that quite beautifully. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, I guess we've touched on your initiative and what it does. The Girls Education Initiative Ghana. I'm in a celebratory mood, and I'm happy you're doing 10 years. Let's talk about that. I hear there's this conversation around Sankofa. So what's the plan? Okay, first off, so tell us the celebration, what's going to happen, how is it going to be celebrated? Yes, and then we can move on to what's the plan for the next 10 years.
Okay, so the theme of Sankofa just speaks to our continuous dedication to learning, relearning, and just making sure that whatever is working now, we sustain that and we improve upon it. What's not working, what hasn't worked from the past, we've learned from it. And then for the next 10 years, even now for the next 10 years, we will work to improve upon it and then learn and relearn as we're going along, because the education space is ever changing and it's not static. It's very dynamic. It's ever changing. With the advent of COVID and everything, we've seen that Now, Ghana, we don't really do virtual learning as much as we used to, but we had to acclimatize to all these new ways of learning and adjusting. And so as GEIG, that's why we developed the theme of Sankofa. And our goal is to continue to be on that path and be a voice in education here in Ghana and Africa. And as we're scaling, you're asking about the next 10 years. When we first started, people from all over the continent, Nigeria, Cameroon, everywhere were like, oh, it sounds so great. Bring it to our country. And like I mentioned earlier, lack of resources, human capacity, financial resources is the reason why we have not been able to scale up this way. But being a visionary person, hopefully within the next 3 years to 5 years, there'll be a GEIG a version of it in Nigeria. Hopefully, God willing, we've started to put in some of the work for that. And then across some other African countries. I would love it, as I'm talking, to go back to South Africa where I did the research and we start something there as well. I would love that. I hope that as this is recorded, it holds me accountable that we will go to South Africa, we will go to Nigeria, we'll go across the continent and make our footprint over there as well. Anything is possible for the next 10 years. And just to highlight the anniversary, how is it being celebrated? On March 22nd, 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., we're going to have a conference, a day-long or half a day-long conference with topics such as inclusive education, how we ensure that Ghana is envisioning a more inclusive education environment. Speakers such as Lady Denta Amwabe, Isabella Ute, she was, I think, the Ghana Teacher of the Year last year or a couple of years ago. Rosalind Abigail Che of this Africa Dyslexia Organization, they're on that panel. We are trying to create a holistic development of our students and anyone that we come in touch with. So there'll be a panel on sports and leadership and community development, and that will feature Dr. Bella Bitugo Bello, who is the director of the Sports Directorate at University of Ghana. Thanks to them for partnering with us for this conference. And the MD Eddie Mensah of Right to Dream Academy. It's a soccer academy in the Eastern region. He will be on there at that panel speaking as well. And so very proud of, for me, one of our own students who was always a student athlete, Zakia, will be on that panel speaking about her journey and how she became a better leader through sports. And then we have, I mentioned earlier, we do a quarterly series. It's a mentoring series. Over the last 10 years, we've had women such as Peace Hyde come to speak to our students, Telekem Akolachi Apalu, who used to be, I hope I'm not butchering anybody's names, who used to be on GTV. She's been there. Mary Amwa, who is the founder of Africa Clicks organization, foundation, sorry. They are going to be joining us for our homecoming segment, where we have all these women who over the last 10 years have come and inspired our students. So you said giving you your flowers earlier, we're going to honor them and give them their flowers while they're still alive to receive it and appreciate it in a homecoming, which will be the central session for the conference on the 22nd. And then we have a panel on how we can leverage technology for development, and that's featuring Lucy Quist, Dr. Suzanne Kapendijk of our partner institution of ETSNAPS, and Monovi Asampong, and Amma Duncan of the Fabulous Women's Network. And that panel is going to be moderated by Josiah Kwesi Asen, who is the co-founder of iSpace Foundation. So grateful to all these people to come and celebrate with us. And then in the evening, we're not just going to sit in the day and just talk a lot, but in the evening, we're going to let our hair down and take off our shoes and hopefully do some dancing at Airport View Hotel for our gala. Our gala event will be at Airport View Hotel, March 22nd from 6 p.m. to, I want to say till you drop, but they've given us a cutoff of 9 p.m. and I'm sure we'll coordinate some after party for somewhere else. So we invite you and the entire team and everybody else to come and join us as we celebrate this decade of impact, as we've been saying.
Really, 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 truly fantastic stuff. I mean, you're speaking and I'm just going back to how, all of this started. Now look at the caliber of people you're inviting over for the 10-year celebrations, and all of the things that are happening in between and after. It's hard work. Hard work when it's rewarded and it's celebrated. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm truly happy for you and your organization, the Girls Education Initiative Ghana, for how far you've come. Please do well to dance, get.
I hope you'll be there.
Let your hair down. We would definitely be there. We would.
Okay.
We're happy with
we reserve a table for you.
Yes,
for Education Africa.
Yes, please. We'll definitely come through and celebrate with you. You've done really, really a good job. It's interesting. This just popped up as you were talking, and I guess it's the perfect segue into the question I'm going to ask. So I hear recently you were recognized as part of the top 100 influential women by the Imperial Leo. How about you unpack that for us? Unpack that for us. How did that feel? How did it feel being recognized for your efforts, and especially the education space?
Anyway, I mean, I think me saying that when they presented me with the award, I said to them, I don't know how they got to know of me, but it's truly an honor. Like, I would say I don't look to get recognized or get awarded for the work that I do at GEIG in any way, shape, or form at all. If the award comes, it's a plus to the organization. But me personally, I don't look for that. So it was humbling for me that these days I'm not so public with my life, with anything. If it wasn't for the 10-year anniversary, I've been trying to stay more in the background of things. But because it's 10 years, it's rightful that I come out of hiding and make a little bit of noise. Yeah, we can let people know that we're still around and they should come and celebrate with us. And we thank them for being here on this journey with us. So it was humbling. I want to thank Imperial Leo for that recognition. I was the 2015 Blisco brand ambassador. I want to thank Blisco for being with all these years. I've spoken at TEDx Africa. I want to thank all the people who I always feel like, who am I? Who am I? I'm sitting here in some corner in Kumasi, and then you come and you find me. So who am I to be receiving all these accolades and all these honors? But it's a testament to the work that the team and I would say have been doing for all these years. So yeah, it's not for me. When I'm awarded, it's not just for me, it's for the entire team, the people who are flanking me left and right to make sure that this hard work gets done day to day. So it's for them.
Elizabeth Nyako Patterson. It's
how many people will say my whole entire government name like that? I will take it.
Thank you so much for hopping on the Let's Talk Education Africa with us. I am going to wrap up our conversation with two quotes. Today I'm in a quote from none other than Barack Obama. The conversation I've had with you has been nothing short of inspirational. You've inspired me, and I'm sure my listeners in so many ways. Let me speak for myself, but I'm sure you have, that has spilled over to my listeners as well. So Barack says something, and he says, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. And your story truly, encapsulates that. And I'm just happy to have somebody who has shared such a beautiful story, a beautiful journey of a dark cloud, if I'm going to use that descriptor, but then found silver lining, has marched on despite the arrows being thrown, the difficulties, stories, and I'm sure I'll definitely get you on to talk about just the struggles alone. It should just be an episode, just so others would appreciate the work that goes into making impacts, making a difference, especially within the education space. Yeah, we need such stories. So it's been truly an honor having you, sharing your story about
Thank you very much.
yourself and the Ghana Education Initiative, Ghana. We you over here. We are popping balloons and popping champagne and throwing all the confetti around. Thank you so much. This I picked so much from the conversation that we've had. I envy Anna for having the first talk with you. I wish I was the one with the conversation, because you're just an inspirational figure, and there's no wonder that you have organizations in different parts of the country and in the world that are popping up to give you your flowers as you make impact one individual at a time. But thank you so much. This has been good.
Thank you very much.
We celebrate. Definitely come around and take off our shoes and dance with you.
Thank you very much. If I may, in closing, as we're thanking everybody, I want to I mentioned a few of our sponsors, but I want to highlight a few more. Grateful to SB Inc., World Wear Ghana, the Dressmakers GH, Pormacidor, PNFT, Girls Goal Getters, 57 Chocolates, and I mentioned Vlisco, and obviously Let's Talk Education Africa podcast for being partners and sponsors of our 10-year anniversary. I could not have been more humbled by the outpouring of supports that people continue to give to this organization after a decade. It's a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you too. I'm going to end my last quote for the conversation. The future rewards those who press on. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I don't have time to complain. I am going to press on. Listeners, if there was anything that I want you to pick from the conversation that we've had with the founder and board chair of the Ghana Girls Education Initiative, in the person of Elizabeth Nyako Patterson, her full government's name, is to press on. That you can make a difference. Impossible is nothing. And whatever it is, especially if you're looking to impact the education space, it is possible. Collaborate, press on, and that magic will happen. Elizabeth, thank you so much. This has been awesome. And
thank you.
We will come around. We'll definitely come around.
Definitely. We're looking forward to seeing you and hosting you.
Happy 10 years.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
All right. And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening. Promise 2024 was going to be great. The team has been putting in, shifts to make sure that we get the right guests who are going to come and share their stories and talk about education, as is our ethos. And I've picked up a lot. I've written a bunch of things in my notepad. I hope you have too. Until next episode, please stay safe. Cheers.